Hi everyone, welcome to the webinars conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming strategic case study examinations happening in November 2023. My name is Nick and I'm the lead tutor and evaluator for SCS at TCS. So in this session, I will be taking you through answering technique. So let's look at the outcomes for today's session. Today's session is going to be a bit long, so this would go on for something like 1.5 hours or 1 hour and 45 minutes because we have to cover a lot. Some more people are joining in. Okay, yeah. So in this session, as I've mentioned earlier, I will be talking about answering technique as well as time management technique, and based on the mini mock and taking you through the answer plan of the mini mock, I will highlight how we are supposed to implement answering and time management techniques at your real exam. So whenever you are attempting each of your mock exams, you are supposed to keep practicing these answering and time management techniques, thereby developing something called an answer plan, which you'd see in a while. And towards the latter part of the session, I will also highlight strategies which will help you overcome failures. There could be some of you who've failed the exam in the previous sitting. If that is the case, this session is going to be extremely beneficial for you because I will be highlighting shortcomings, and for each of the shortcomings I will highlight solutions as well. Okay, so let me quickly remind you about the webinars and workshops which we have scheduled. So we are already done with 2 webinars. So if you missed out on either of them, please go check out our free content because the recorded versions of these sessions can be found via our website. And on the 21st of October, which is next Saturday, we are conducting the 4th webinar, exam prep. So in the 4th webinar, I will be taking you through the comments made by the examiner, which will help you understand what is requested from you or the type of answers you are supposed to provide in order to achieve a first time pass. And on top of that, in the latter part of the 4th webinar, I will also highlight or I will also provide tips which will help you, build an open mind. And if you are open minded, then your confidence will be extremely high. If you're confident, if you have a positive attitude, then as per the CIMA examiner, such students end up scoring extremely good marks at the exam. So I will highlight these things in the upcoming webinar, and I hope you'd make use of the upcoming SCS Q&A sessions as well, because via these Q&A sessions on a weekly basis, our intention is to get in touch with you. Whilst attempting mock exams, you might encounter certain problems, and if there are any, or if you have gaps in theoretical knowledge, or if you are not too conversant with a theoretical element which is highlighted within each and every mock, you can jot them down and raise these concerns during the Q&A session. So I hope you'd make use of these free sessions which we have scheduled for the future. All right, so some more people are joining in. Let me admit them. All right. Okay. So before we move on to the technicalities of today's session, let me quickly remind you about what we offer at TCS. So I'm on the SCS page, and I think you would have already checked out our free content. If not, simply click on this button. Then you would be directed to a login page. So create a user account, and once you do, you'd gain access to the free content which appears within our student dashboard. So please check them out. And on top of that, if you are interested in investing on our paid packages, before you do, I urge you to check out the sample material so that you are in a position to figure out the type of study material and mock exams as well as videos you'd get your hands on if you opt for paid content. So let me quickly tell you about the 3 different types of packages we sell at TCS. So first things first, we sell something called the Essentials package, which comes with the recorded versions of the webinars, 5 mock exams with suggested answers, as well as the pre-scene analysis videos. And this is priced at £119. So if you are a student who is coming through the CIMA general route, and if you had aced your OTQ exams, if you have not failed any of your E3, P3, and F3 exams, then It appears that you have some type of discipline when it comes to preparations. It appears that you are comfortable with 100% self-learning. If that is the case, simply opt for the Essentials pack. And looking at the value pack, it comes with everything which is covered under the Essentials package. On top of that, you would also get your hands on the annotated pre-scene, which is extremely beneficial for you. So let me quickly show you what this is about. So the annotated pre-scene comes with annotations. This is the same pre-scene which you would have received from CIMA, but we have come up with tutor-generated annotations with the intention of ensuring that we provide an appropriate summary so that it makes your life easy when it comes to understanding what is highlighted within the pre-scene document. And on top of that, as part of these annotations, we also indicate the type of exam scenarios which can be thrown at you and syllabus content which can be tested. So rather than going through pages and pages of information, you just need to read through these summaries. Then you'd gain an in-depth understanding about what is covered under the pre-scene document. Because remember, you are playing the role of a senior finance manager. So as a senior finance manager, you are involved with long-term decision making. You are reporting directly to board members. So in such an environment, you need to adhere to something called an outside-in approach when it comes to developing your answers. So you have to have an in-depth understanding about what happens within the industry as well as your company, thereby understanding the internal as well as external dynamics of the company. So that's why you need to get your hands on the annotated pre-scene, which makes your life easy. Then you'd also gain access to the financial analysis, industry analysis, top 10 likely issues slides. So let me quickly take you through the financial analysis slides. So these slides are based on the financial statements of Robobryce and its closest competitor, Pavrobot. I hope you would have already gone through the pre-scene. If so, you would have seen these financial statements. So you need not evaluate the financial statements on your own. Instead, we have done it on behalf of you. So you can easily understand, based on the evaluations, you can easily understand where the company stands in a financial sense. And a ratio analysis has been conducted as well, because as a senior finance manager, you need to be extremely conversant with the numbers, because whenever you are coming up with recommendations, you need to utilize these numbers. You need to be aware about the ratios. So you are not supposed to calculate them on your own. Instead, we have done it for you. So if you go through these set of slides, you can easily understand what has happened within Robobryce in a financial sense, and a similar approach had been adhered to its closest competitor as well. And as I told you earlier, as a senior finance manager, you need to have an outside-in approach. So you have to be conversant with the external dynamics of the company. So in order to get an in-depth understanding about industry dynamics, you can simply refer to our set of slides, because if you refer to these set of slides, you can easily understand the nitty-gritties or the technicalities pertaining to the chosen industry. So all these can be accessed via the free content which is available under our website. So please check them out to see what's covered. And at the very end, real world examples based on 2 real life companies have been provided, with the intention of ensuring that you have a better understanding of what's covered, what should be covered as part of your industry analysis. Then you'd also get your hands on the top 10 likely issue slides, which highlights the type of scenarios which can be thrown at the exam. You'd also gain access to the case study familiarization kit. And you'd also gain access to a tutor managed live chat via Twilio, which can be accessed via our website itself. And you'd also gain access to the theory recaps pertaining to the OTQ syllabus content. So if you are a student who is coming through the CIMA general route, however, if you are returning to studies after a study break, or if you had struggled with any of your OTQ examinations, then you need some type of additional support. So then if that is the case, opt for the value pack, which is priced at £249. And if you are a student who is coming through an exemption route, such as the C-suite or the FLP program, or if you failed your previous attempt, then you have to opt for the premium package. So this comes with everything which is covered under the value pack. Additionally, you'd also gain access to the mock exam platform or the learning management system. So when attempting each of your mocks, you can attempt them under real exam conditions, because we have developed an exam platform to be akin to the Pearson VUE system, which you'd attempt your real exam. So it's better to get accustomed to real exam conditions way before the exam, because take it from me, when you are attempting your real exam within the exam platform, you might not be too conversant with the technicalities pertinent to this platform. So because of that, it's better to get yourself accustomed to such a platform when attempting each of your mocks. And if you utilize this exam platform, you are in a position to easily practice answering and time management techniques, which I'm going to highlight in today's webinar. All right. And on top of that, you'd also gain access to one-on-one tutor feedback on mocks 3, 4, and 5. So this is extremely beneficial for you, especially if you're coming through an exemption route, or if you failed your previous sitting. So this is the type of tutor feedback you'd receive if you opt for the premium package. So as you can see, on a paragraph by paragraph basis, evaluations have been conducted. So I myself will be evaluating each of your answer scripts, and that's exactly what you can see throughout this answer script. And at the very end, we provide mark allocations, and I hope you'd focus on the success rate. The success rate indicates on a subtask by subtask basis whether you have gained enough marks or not. So once you're done attempting a mock, you'd receive feedback within 48 hours. And once you receive feedback, you know for a fact the subtasks in which you need to, you have not gained enough marks. So, towards the weekend, what you can do is you can rework answer plans focused on the subtasks in which we have not done too well. So if you look at this student's performance, the student had only gained 59 marks, primarily because of the fact that she has not gained appropriate marks for subtask 1A, subtask 2A and B, and subtask 3B. So after you receive feedback, your responsibility should be towards redeveloping answer plans, not for the entire mock exam, because if you do, you'd be wasting your time. Instead, solely focus on the subtasks in which you have not gained enough marks. And at the very end, general comments are also provided with the intention of ensuring that you gain a better understanding about your shortcomings and stand a chance to improve your performance when attempting your next mock exam, and finally your real exam. So that's the type of tutor feedback you'd receive, and you'd also gain access to answer plans of all 5 mocks. So this is something which any other service provider is not offering. So with the intention of ensuring that you save your time when it comes to preparations, we have developed study plans or mind maps based on each of the suggested answers of all 5 mock exams. So why have we developed these answer plans or study plans? With the intention of summarizing the suggested answers, because when we do it, you can easily understand the structure of the answer, how theoretical elements had been brought in when developing the answer, how to improve your application skills, and on top of that, the type of information which is brought in from the pre-scene. So you need to achieve all these things to come up with high quality answers. So rather than you having to go through pages and pages of suggested answers and based on it spend a lot of time and develop study plans or short notes on your own, rather than asking you guys to do it, we have done it for you. So your life becomes easy. Once you receive tutor feedback, simply focus on the subtasks in which you have not gained good marks, redevelop answer plans, and compare your answer plan with the answer plan which we provide. Then you can easily understand what your shortcomings are. And today's discussion, when it comes to practically applying time management and answering techniques, I will be utilizing an answer plan which is based on the SCS mini mock, which we have shared via the group as well as via free content through the website. And you'd also gain access to 15 master classes. So via these master classes, we are taking you through the questions and answers of each and every mock exam. So in each mock, there are 3 tasks. So 3 tasks into 5 mock exams comes up to 15 tasks in total. So for each task, we have developed a set of master classes, and via these master classes, we are highlighting the logic of each answer. And on top of that, we are also teaching you theory as well as teaching you application skills. So rather than going through separate theoretical content such as study texts, your own study notes and whatnot, if you try to do it, you cannot get everything done within just 7 weeks. Okay, so in order to make your life easy, in order to ensure that you achieve multiple outcomes, when watching these master classes, we have made sure to teach you the logic of each answer, then teach you theory and improve application skills at the same time. So if you're coming through the FLP route or some type of an exemption route, or if you had failed your SCS exam last time, you need to improve your theoretical knowledge. You need to overcome your gaps pertaining to application skills, especially at the SCS level. So these master classes will be the ultimate solution for your needs. And this also comes with with a monthly installment payment option. You can pay in 2 installments of £375 each, or if you opt to pay in full, you can save £50, thereby being in a position to purchase this package at £699. And all products are available until the 28th of February 2024. And the premium package comes with a pass guarantee. So if you end up investing on the premium package and fulfilling all these requirements, you are in a position to achieve a first time pass. So in order to claim the pass guarantee, so what this pass guarantee entails you is, if you end up fulfilling all these requirements, if you end up investing on the premium package and fulfilling all these requirements, yet if you fail, you will gain access to the premium content free of charge in your next sitting. Okay, however, you need to fulfill these things in order to be in a position to claim the pass guarantee. You have to complete all 5 mock exams, because we have developed the 5 mock exams covering the entire syllabus, covering all E3, P3 and F3 related syllabus content. So if you do not attempt all 5 mock exams, you are not in a position to cover the syllabus in its entirety. If that is the case, your chances of passing the exam is extremely low. And on top of that, you have to be considerate about the originality of the solutions. You cannot simply copy and paste the suggested answers, because if you do, you would be cheating yourself. There's absolutely no point of cheating yourself, because at the real exam, you will end up failing if you do. Okay, and you have to meet the performance criteria as well. You have to gain an average mark of 40% or higher for mocks 3, 4, and 5. We have come up with this guideline with the intention of ensuring that you are serious when it comes to attempting each of your mock exams, especially mocks 3, 4, and 5, because I'll be highlighting answering and time management techniques. It will take you some time to master answering and time management techniques. So the first 2 mocks are there to ensure that you get your bearings with these answering and time management techniques. And if you attempt the first 2 mocks under real exam conditions and practice answering and time management techniques, you are in a position to get these techniques right when attempting, or by the time you are attempting mocks 3, 4, and 5. So that's why we are providing tutor feedback for mocks 3, 4, and 5. So when attempting each of the mocks, you have to be really serious. In order to ensure that you are serious, we have come up with this guideline. And if you fulfill all these criteria yet end up failing, which is highly unlikely, still, if you end up failing, please fill out the pass guarantee form so that you can claim your pass guarantee. All right, so these are the different types of packages which we offer at TCS. And let me quickly remind you about what you're supposed to do in the upcoming week. So you are supposed to attend the 3rd webinar, which you have already done so far. So congratulations on that. And you are supposed to attempt mock number 2 via the exam platform. Although students had already invested on the premium package, I am yet to see any of the students attempt mock number 1. So you have to be serious. You have to start preparations now itself, because there's absolutely no point of waiting until the last moment. 99% of the students out there, they wait until the last 2 weeks prior to the exam, and within 2 weeks you cannot attempt 5 mock exams. You cannot do your revision appropriately. You cannot watch all the videos which we are offering. So in such an environment, you'd end up failing the exam. So in order to overcome all these shortcomings, you need to start preparations now itself. So according to our study plan, you are supposed to attempt mock number 2 via the exam platform. After attempting it, watch the 4 master classes. After watching the 4 master classes, refer to the answer plans to understand the structure and logic of each and every answer. Okay, so that's what you are supposed to do. And in week number 4, which is the upcoming week, we are conducting the 4th webinar, exam prep. Okay, so that's what we offer. So let's move on to the technicalities pertaining to answering technique. Okay, so when developing your answers, you are supposed to first focus on developing appropriate headings and subheadings. So for each subtask, you need to come up with a main heading, and within the same subtask, if you feel that you want to further faction out the answer, then you can come up with subheadings. So whenever you are coming up with headings, it needs to be in bold and underlined format. And whenever you are developing subheadings, it needs to be in bold format. So that's what you need to remember. So you'd understand these things better when I take you through the answer plan. Then I'll be reiterating what I'm highlighting here, thereby practically depicting how we are supposed to adhere to these guidelines when developing your answer plans. So use headings and subheadings. So if, for instance, if within a certain question there are 2 subtasks, then you need to have 2 main headings, and under each main heading you are welcome to come up with subheadings. And whenever you are developing answers, you are not supposed to develop answers or provide answers in bullet points or single-lined sentences. Instead, you need to develop a paragraph per answer point, which consists of 2 to 4 lined sentences. Okay, so it's as if you receive an email from one of your board members, and you are responding to it. So when developing your responses, you have to provide answers in paragraph format. So let's assume you develop the answer plan, and within the answer plan there are 9 valid points. If there are 9 valid points within your answer plan, then in your fully fledged answer, you need to have 9 paragraphs of answers. Okay, so if there are 9 answer points within your answer plan, you need to have 9 paragraphs. When you do this, it makes the invigilator's life easy. The invigilator can easily understand how many valid points are highlighted within your answer, because per valid point, you come up with a paragraph. And if you are in the good books of the invigilator, then you will gain extremely good marks at your exam. I've seen students, when developing answers, rather than sticking to this process, they develop the entire answer within one single paragraph. Then what happens is the invigilator will have to spend a lot of time to pick and select valid answers, or the amount of answer points highlighted within the paragraph. So if that is the case, the invigilator will have a negative attitude towards marking your answer script, and in such an environment, you'd end up getting low marks. So it's better to be in the good books of the invigilator. To be in the good books, develop answers in paragraphs. So per answer point, you need to develop a paragraph. Okay. And how are you supposed to manage your time? So most students out there, what they do is they read the question or they read the scenario, then straight away they start typing the fully fledged answer. You are not supposed to do it, because let's assume you are working and your CFO sends you an email, and once you receive the email, you won't straight away start developing your response. Instead, you will spend some time to plan it out. You will spend some time to understand what your CFO's requirements are, and for each of the requirements, you need to come up with a solution. If not, you'll be penalized. You might even, if you continuously provide half-hearted responses, you might even end up losing your job. So the same philosophy applies to your examination as well, because the CIMA examiner is trying to replicate a real-life corporate environment. So if you provide half-hearted answers, or answers which are not well structured, or if you run out of time because of that, you provide incomplete answers, then you'd end up failing your exam. So 1/3 of the time should be allocated towards reading the scenario and developing something called an answer plan. And 2/3 of the time should be allocated towards typing the answer. So you are not expected to read the question or read the scenario, then straight away start typing your fully fledged answer. Instead, the prudent thing to do is to spend some time to develop something called an answer plan. You see what an answer plan looks like later in this session itself. So you need to spend some time to plan your answer. And if you do, you'd come up with high quality answers, well-structured answers, well thought out answers. And once you have an answer structure, when it comes to typing, there's no thinking involved. It's just a matter of expanding your answer plan. So thinking should be, you should not multitask at your exam. Instead, you should specialize on different elements. First things first, read the scenario, then spend some time to develop an answer plan. And once you have the answer plan, you know what you're supposed to type. So do not engage yourself with planning anymore. Since you already have an answer plan, it's just a matter of expanding your answer plan towards the thereby utilizing 2/3 of your time when developing the fully fledged answer. And the expected typing speed is a minimum of 20 words per minute. So if your typing speed is not up to standard, there are so many platforms out there, free platforms out there, which will help you improve your typing speed. And when developing answer plans, you are supposed to understand how many marks are allocated for each and every subtask. So what I've seen is when developing answers, most students are clueless about how many marks are allocated for each subtask. Rather than blindly typing out answers, what you're supposed to do is you are supposed to understand how many marks are allocated for each subtask. And after understanding the mark allocation, then you'd know how many answer points need to appear within your answer plan. So when developing your answers at the SCS exam, you have to be extremely conversant about the mark allocations. And when you understand the mark allocations, you are in a position to understand how many points need to appear within your answer. And after understanding the number of points, if you develop the required number of points, you can be happy to know that you'd gain full marks for your at your exam. Okay, so let me quickly show you what I'm talking about. So I'm this is the mini mock, and we are on the student dashboard of TCS. So this is the mini mock which you would have already found under the free content. So this is the first section of the question, and if you focus on it, you can see that the first subtask, there's a weightage provided, which is 25%. So this weightage indicates how many marks are allocated for each and every task. There are 3 tasks in total within a paper. So for each and every task, a total of 50 marks are allocated. So 25% of 50 marks is 12.5 marks. So you know for a fact, for the first subtask, the mark allocation is 12.5 marks. And once you know the mark allocation, you are supposed to come up with something like an answer plan, which consists of something like 6 to 7 valid answer points. So in order to gain 12.5 marks, usually per answer point, 2 marks will be allocated. So you need to come up with 6 or 7 valid points. So the same should be said about the second subtask as well. The weightage is 25%, again, which indicates that 12.5 marks allocated. So you need to have something like 6 to 7 valid answer points within your answer plan. And the third subtask, the weightage provided is 50%, which indicates that 25 marks are allocated. So a higher amount of marks are allocated. So in such an environment, you need to come up with an answer plan which spans for 10 to 12 valid answer points. Okay, so that's how we are supposed to determine, based on the mark allocations, determine how many points you need to raise within your answer plans, thereby raise within your fully fledged answer. And do not spend time on formatting, because the only type of formatting which you need to be aware of is with regards to coming up with headings which are in bold and underline format. and coming up with subheadings which are in bold format, and developing answers in paragraph format. Other than that, you need not focus on any other type of formatting at your exam. And remember, it's always about the quality of the answer points which we have highlighted. So just because you provide lengthy answers, you're not going to get marks. Instead, the examiner picks quality over quantity. So that's exactly why I said you need to develop an answer plan. If you do, you'd come up with a high quality answer, which is not too long, not too short. You'd come up with the most ideal answer. Why? Because you are developing answer points based on mark allocations for each and every subtask. So these are your answering techniques. Then when it comes to developing answers, what are you expected to do? First things first, you are supposed to read the scenario. So when it comes to reading the scenario, always remember to check the reference material as well, because under each task, you will have access to reference material. As I told you earlier, the CIMA examiner is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment. So in a real life corporate environment, when you receive an email, it comes with additional information as attachments. Okay. So a similar methodology is adhered to by the CIMA examiner. So when you are reading the scenario, always be aware to check out the reference material, because it carries relevant information about what the company is facing at the moment. So you need to allocate something like 5 minutes to read the scenario. Then after reading the scenario, you are supposed to plot the requirements into headings and subheadings. So I said per subtask, you need to come up with a main heading, and within the same subtask, if you feel like you want to further fraction out the answers, then you are welcome to come up with subheadings. So the headings need to be in bold and underline format, and subheadings in bold format. And then you need to invest time to understand the requirements clearly. So when it comes to understanding the requirement clearly, it is best practice if you can reiterate the requirements in your own words in a simpler format. So let me tell you or show you what I'm talking about. So the first requirement goes on for 2 lines. Explain the financial analyst's comment with regards to introducing the new cobots into Robobryce's product portfolio. So that's quite long. The requirement is quite long. However, as I told you earlier, you are supposed to, when it comes to understanding the requirement clearly, you are supposed to reiterate the requirement in your own words in a summarized form. Why am I asking you to do it? Then you are in a position to easily keep reminding yourself when developing the answer plan. You can easily keep reminding yourself what you are expected to cover within your answer. Because when you are under exam pressure, when you have to, when developing the answer plan, if you have to keep referring back to the requirement on multiple occasions, when the requirement is extremely long, it will confuse you, and confusion leads to frustration. So in order to avoid such a situation, it's better to redevelop or reword the requirement in your own words, yet keep it simple as much as possible. So I've simply come up with the requirement as FA's comments, financial analyst comments about introducing cobots. So that's ideally what this requirement is about. So let me take you through the second. Okay, let's focus on the third subtask, which goes on for 3 lines. Hope you can provide recommendations with reasons describing the strategy which Robobryce needs to adopt to minimize the impact of carbon loss. So I've simplified it by simply mentioning recommendations to minimize the impact of carbon loss. So keep it simple so that you can easily understand what you're supposed to cover within your answer. Okay, so invest time to understand the requirement. So this is about reiterating or redeveloping the requirement in your own words in a concise form. Then you have to move on to answer planning. So plan the answer first, allocating a maximum of 1/3 of the time. So 1/3 of your time, which comes up to something like 20 to 25 minutes, should be allocated towards your answer plan. This is where you strategize your answer. This is where you plan your answer. This is where you try to understand whether you have fulfilled the requirements clearly. This is where you try to understand whether you have come up with the appropriate number of valid answer points, which is aligned with the weightages provided under each and every subtask. So you have to allocate some time to plan the answer. This is the most crucial part of the answering technique. Then when developing the answer plan, do not use the scratch pad. You will have access to a scratch pad, but you're not supposed to utilize it. Why? Because something which you had typed on the scratch pad gets erased or deleted once you complete your examination. So the invigilator will not have access to what we have typed on the scratch pad. So there's absolutely no point of developing your answer plan on the scratch pad. And on top of that, if you develop the answer plan on the scratch pad, and if you have to shift between the scratch pad and the answering screen on multiple locations, it leads to some type of inefficiencies. So let's assume you have developed an answer plan within the scratch pad, which highlights 7 valid points. But when you are shifting between the answer screens and thereby, developing the fully fledged answer on your answer screen, you might miss out on a point which appears within the answer plan. So why should you miss out a point when you can simply develop your answer plan on the answer screen itself? Because if you do, you need not shift between the scratch pad and the answer screen. And on top of that, you will never miss out on any of the points which you have highlighted within the answer plan. So when developing your answer plan, do it on the answer screen itself. And once you have an answer plan, you know what you're supposed to cover within your answer. So your next step should be towards with regards to expanding the points which are highlighted within the answer plan. So do all these things within the answer screen itself. Do not utilize the scratch pad in order to avoid unnecessary inefficiencies. Okay, so these are the steps which you need to adhere to when it comes to developing answers. So I've highlighted the theoretical elements of answering and time management techniques. I've highlighted what the philosophy which you need to adhere to when developing your answers whilst managing your time. So now let's move on to the mini mock and try to figure out how these techniques or these methodologies need to be implemented in a practical sense. So let me take you to the mini mock. So before we move on with the session, any questions, guys? Any doubts or questions? I'm ready to answer your concerns or queries before moving on to discussing the mini mock, thereby teaching you answering and time management techniques in a practical sense. Any questions? Any questions, folks? Any doubts? If you don't have any concerns, I hope you can type in the chat section so that I can move forward. All right, Dorothy, thank you very much for the feedback. Thank you, Noah. Thank you for your feedback as well. All right, so it seems like there aren't any questions, so I'm going to move forward. Yeah. Okay, so section number 1, as per we have developed the mini mock which replicates a typical exam which you would face at the typical question which you would face at your real exam. So this consists of 2 main tasks. However, at your exam, you will face 3 main tasks. Okay, Daisy, thank you for the feedback. Okay, so section number 1, time allocation is 60 minutes. You receive the following email from your CFO. So the subject goes as COBATS, governance and sustainability. Our director of research has briefed the board. Give me a second, please. Yeah, our director of research has briefed the board on a groundbreaking development. The R&D team has engineered a new COBAT notable for its lightweight and high load capacity, promising substantial client cost savings. Okay, so As I've highlighted in the first two webinars, the type of information which is provided as part of the pre-scene document gives you an indication about what the company has faced in the past. However, at your real exam, present information or information which is relevant for the internal dynamics, internal and external dynamics faced by the company at present will be presented. Okay, so that's exactly what you can see within this question. So there is no mention about Robobryce manufacturing cobots or providing services which are based on cobots when dealing with clients. There's no mention of such information within the pre-scene. However, within the question, when you consider the real life dynamics or the present dynamics faced by the company, we have developed a question which highlights that we are trying to move towards utilizing cobots or offering cobots when fulfilling the needs of our clients. Okay, so the R&D team has engineered a new cobot notable for its lightweight and high load capacity, promising substantial client cost savings. Beyond cost efficiencies, the cobot operates on cleaner fuels, reflecting a commitment to sustainability and energy efficiency. This aligns with global environmental goals and positions the cobot as a forward-thinking, eco-friendly solution in the market. So all these things are good. Financial analysts have commented that the forecasts for Robobryce are optimistic, predicting revenue growth and a beta increase attributed to the cobot's cost efficiencies and eco-conscious appeal. This development holds potential to significantly shift market dynamics in favor of Robobryce. Okay, so the financial analysts had mentioned about various different things. So they are forecasting that our revenues will grow. So that's one element which the financial analysts had covered. And they're also saying that the beta will increase. And on top of that, this will significantly shift market dynamics in favor of Robobryce. So our we'll be exposed to a larger market, which will eventually lead to higher profitability, higher revenues, and better reputation in the market. Okay, so let's look at the first subtask. You are supposed to explain the financial analyst's comment with regards to introducing the new cobots into Robobryce's product portfolio. So as I told you earlier, you have to follow these steps. So first things first, read the scenario and reference material, which takes up 5 minutes of your time. So there is no indication within the scenario as per subtask 1, which indicates that you need to check the reference material. Because of that, I did not do it as yet. But later on, when we move on to the 2 remaining subtasks, within the scenario itself, it will be mentioned that you are supposed to refer to the reference material. So read the scenario and then reiterate each requirement in your own words. Keep it simple. So the first requirement, I've reiterated it in my own words, which is FA's comments introducing cobots, and I've kept it simple. And then you have to move on to developing headings and subheadings. So for each subtask, as I told you earlier, you need to come up with a main heading, which should be in bold and underline format. And if you want to further faction out the answer, you can come up with subheadings, which needs to be in bold format. So for the first subtask, I've come up with a main heading, financial analyst's comment, which is in bold and underline format. Okay. Then develop each answer plan on the answer screen itself. So you have to focus on the entire task. This task number 1 consists of 3 subtasks. So you need to develop the answer plan which covers all 3 subtasks, thereby allocating 25 minutes of your time. So do not create the answer plan for subtask 1, then come up with the fully fledged answer, then move on to the answer plan which is relevant for subtask 2, develop the fully fledged answer, and likewise. Instead, when you are involved with planning, do it at once. Develop the answer plans for all subtasks which are covered within one single task, allocating 25 minutes of your time. So that's when you're supposed to strategize your answer, structure your answer, or plan your answer. And once you have done it, the remaining time should be allocated. The remaining 30 minutes should be allocated towards typing the final answer, which is about simply expanding the answer plans which you have developed. Okay, so requirement number 1, FA's comments introducing cobots. Let me admit this individual. Okay, FA's comments introducing cobots. So that's your requirement. Based on it, let's try to figure out what type of an answer you are supposed to develop. All right, so we are pursuing related diversification because we as per the information provided in the pre-scene, there is no mention about cobots being used within our product offerings. However, cobots are utilized when you look at the external dynamics or the industry dynamics of the chosen industry. Cobots are utilized within warehouse operations with the intention of increasing efficiency. So that's exactly why I've said that we are pursuing related diversification, because use of cobots has something to do with what we do or the type of services as well as products we offer at the moment. So according to the financial analysts, they have predicted that our cash flows and profitability will increase. So how will it impact our company? So increased cash flows will result in higher dividend payments. So if our cash flows are increasing, then it indicates that we have access to additional cash. And when we have access to additional cash, we can pay higher dividends. And if we pay higher dividends, our shareholders will be satisfied. And on top of that, we are also exposed to, as per the comments made by the financial analysts, we are also exposed to increased profitability. So when profits increase, then what happens is the share price will increase. So whenever the company's profitability increases significantly, it will be reflected on the share price. Thus, the share price will increase. And when the share price increases, it will satisfy a separate set of shareholders who are expecting to purchase a share at a certain price and sell it at a higher price. So there are two main types of shareholders within any given company. There are a set of shareholders who are looking for a long-term return. So they are interested in dividends. They'll purchase a share right now and they'll depend on dividends which they'd accumulate over a long period. And there are a set of shareholders who look for short-term returns. And these type of shareholders purchase a share with the intention of selling it at a higher price within a short period of time. So if we adopt this related diversification, we are in a position to satisfy both these types of shareholders, those that are looking for dividends with the intention of achieving long-term returns, they will be benefited. And on top of that, those that are looking for short-term returns, thereby looking for an increase in share price, they will be benefited as well. And on top of that, we have to be considerate about the costs of introducing these robots. Although the financial analysts are simply talking about the revenues and profitability, which we are exposed to, we have to also be considerate about the costs of introducing cobots, because the initial costs of investing on manufacturing cobots will be extremely high. However, in the long run, I'm saying that the costs will decrease because we'd be exposed to economies of scale when it comes to manufacturing, because when we are manufacturing something for the first time, the fixed costs will be extremely high. There will be significant investments. However, when we get our bearings with the manufacturing processes, then the fixed cost per unit will keep decreasing with that. And on top of that, learning effects will come into play. With all these things, costs of producing these cobots will decrease significantly in the long run. And on top of that, when these costs decreases, we can pass these cost efficiencies down to our clients via reduced prices. And on top of that, we are in a position to offer better operational efficiency when dealing with our clients. So if we are in a position to offer better efficiency to our clients, it leads to customer satisfaction. And on top of that, when we pass down the cost efficiencies to our end clients via reduced prices, we are achieving something called value for money. So the clients are getting a high quality service. They are gaining access to a high quality product offering at a lesser price, which leads to significant levels of customer loyalty. So in the long run, these cost decreases will benefit us as well as clients significantly. And on top of that, we are exposed to additional revenues, especially given the fact that these cobots will help us achieve energy efficiency. So there is a mention about these machines being eco-friendly. And on top of that, it is run on cleaner fuels. So the type of eco-friendly customers will love to invest on these cobots. So this opens up an additional revenue stream because we'll be dealing with a new customer segment. We'll be dealing with environmentally conscious customers. Although this benefit is there, we have to monitor about additional operational costs as well, such as when it comes to software integration. So this is where you gain marks for pre-scene application. So within the pre-scene, it is mentioned that we are offering different types of products which help clients with warehouse automation. However, we are not only providing products, we are offering a certain set of services as well. And one such service is with regards to software integration, because we have to ensure that the solutions which we offer are integrated with the warehouse management systems of our own clients. So we have to be conversant about the additional operational costs of software integration when we are introducing a new product to our clients. And so that's the first element pertaining to cash flows, profitability. When thinking about profitability, we should not disregard costs as well. So that's why, although there's no mention about this within the FA's comments, I've included that within the answer. And they are also mentioning about the beta increasing. So these guys are saying, the financial analysts said that due to this investment, the beta will increase. Okay. So when talking about the beta or evaluating this point highlighted by the financial analyst, you need to talk about the current beta, because if you do, then you get marks for pre-scene application. Because if you do, your examiner will know for a fact that you had gone through the pre-scene and you have the capability to bring in information from the pre-scene which are relevant to the requirement. So the current beta is, according to pre-scene information, 0.91, which indicates that our stock or our share price is less risky at present. Thereby, it attracts risk-averse investors. So you are not simply mentioning the beta. Instead, you are evaluating what this beta signifies. And if we go ahead with this related diversification, our beta will increase, which indicates that the volatility of shares will increase, or our shares will become riskier. So since we are attracting risk-averse investors, when the risk of the share increases, then our share price might dip in the short term, thereby dissatisfying certain shareholders of ours. And on top of that, when the share price dips, our cost of equity will increase, because whenever we want to raise equity financing, it will be extremely hard to convince our shareholders, especially given the fact that our share price had decreased right after this investment. And although this is the case, in the long term, our risks will reduce due to better profits and cash flows. So at the moment, as I told you earlier, we have to spend a significant portion of money, which results in additional costs, which results in the share price decreasing because the beta is going to increase. Although that is the case at the moment, in the long term, we will be exposed to cost efficiencies, and these cost efficiencies can be passed down to our customers, which leads to better customer loyalty. If that is the case, it leads to better sales, thus profitability. So in such an environment, our share price will increase. So you are not only supposed to talk about one aspect, you have to consider all aspects. So I'm not only focusing my answer about how the company might be affected in the short term. Instead, I've also spoken about how the company is affected in the long term as well. So that's my evaluation pertaining to beta. And I've also considered about the long run and short run costs when talking about the profitability of the company as well. And this also exposes us to certain risks as well. So we are exposed to systematic as well as market risk. So in systematic risk is also considered as market risk. So we are exposed to economic downturn. So let's assume we manufacture these robots, and all of a sudden we are exposed to an economic downturn. In such an environment, we will not be in a position to achieve our sales targets. There could be regulatory changes which might work against us when introducing cobots. and technological disruptions. So let's assume we introduce a cobot, but one of our competitors come up with a better cobot with better technological capabilities. If that is the case, we'd end up losing out or losing our clients. And political issues might work against us, especially given the fact that we are selling not within Testland, but we are selling in an international market as well, as per the pre-seen information. So in such an environment, we have to be considerate about the regulations and the different political dynamics within the markets in which we operate, and environmental concerns should be considered as well. So these are the type of systematic or market risks which we are exposed to if we go ahead with this move. Or on the other hand, we have to be considerate about the specific risks which are associated with the production, operation, and maintenance or upkeep of cobots. So all these different types of risks should be monitored and kept track of with the intention of controlling them on a regular basis. Okay, so as you can see, this is a highly practical answer. So what I've done is I've utilized the information which is provided within the scenario. And on top of that, I've brought in information from the pre-scene and made sure that I fulfill the requirement in its entirety. So this is not a theoretical answer. The only theoretical element which was brought in was with regards to the beta, as well as the different types of risks. Other than that, everything else which I've highlighted within this answer is highly practical. So you are playing the role of a senior finance manager. As a senior finance manager, you are not supposed to come up with suggestions or recommendations which are highly theoretical. Even if a theoretical aspect is tested, you are not supposed to reiterate theory. Instead, you have to you need to know your theory, but this theory or the theoretical knowledge needs to be replicated within your answer in an extremely practical manner. So your application skills will carry a lot of marks, rather than, if you come up with highly theoretical answers, you're not gonna end up passing this SCS exam. Okay, so that's your answer for subtask A. Then let's move on to the second subtask to see what it highlights. Further, our COO has highlighted the fact that the workload of board members had increased significantly due to the planned diversification. He has just suggested that it is prudent to increase salaries of all executive directors. Okay, so our COO is saying if we go ahead with this diversification, the workload of the board members are increasing. With that, this guy is asking for higher salaries. So you are supposed to evaluate the operations directors or the COO's suggestion with regards to salary increments. So I said you are supposed to reiterate the requirement in your own words. So director salary increments, what are we supposed to cover when opting for salary increments? Okay, so I've come up with a main heading which goes as director salaries, which is in bold and underline format. So what you need to understand is whenever coming up with suggestions pertaining to director salaries, you need to bring in your knowledge pertaining to corporate governance, because according to corporate governance regulations, we are not supposed to pay fat cat benefits or fat cat salaries to the board members, and the board members should not decide on their salaries on their own. They should not stipulate their bonuses on their own. Instead, all these things need to be decided by the remuneration committee. So if we are going for salary increments, we should consider the remuneration committee. It should come through the remuneration committee, or salary increments should be approved by the remuneration committee as per corporate governance guidelines. And on top of that, since the question highlights about the workload increasing, rather than simply paying higher salaries, we might have to think about appointing additional directors. Could be an executive director or a couple of executive directors, or could be independent non-executive directors. So rather than paying salaries, we can, since the workload has increased, with the intention of helping out the remaining directors, we might have to go for additional board appointments. If that is the case, these board appointments should not be handled by the directors themselves. Instead, the nomination committee should come into play. So your theoretical knowledge is tested. However, when developing your answers, you have to do it in an extremely practical manner. So let's try to figure out what we are supposed to cover. So I'm starting my answer by saying that it's legitimate for directors to require or request higher salaries because as per the information provided, definitely these guys will have to will be exposed to increased workloads, and the business risk is improving. Why am I suggesting it? Because it's mentioned that the beta is increasing. So one of the primary goals or responsibilities of board members is with regards to risk management. So whenever the company's beta increases, it indicates that the company is exposed to additional risks. So whenever a company is exposed to additional risks, board responsibilities will definitely increase. So I'm starting my answer by saying that it's legitimate for directors to request higher salaries. I'm not, leaving my answer there. Instead, I'm actually justifying my argument. So I'm saying it's totally fine for these guys to ask for higher salaries. Why? Because as per the information provided in the scenario, the beta is increasing. Well, the beta increment indicates that the risk is increasing. So one of the main responsibilities of board members is with regards to management of risks. So because of this initiative, the risks are increasing, then definitely we can easily say that their workload is increasing. And although this is the case, the director should not decide on by how much their salaries are going to increase, with the intention of avoiding conflict of interest. And this is aligned with corporate governance regulations as per the UK Combined Code of Corporate Governance. And instead, rather than the directors stipulating their own salaries or stipulating the salary increments, it should be set or handled by the remuneration committee. And within the remuneration committee, according to corporate governance regulation, non-executive directors or INEDs should dominate. And as per the information provided in the pre-scene, we conform to these guidelines. So for this, you gain marks for pre-scene application. Okay, so you're not simply highlighting the fact that the salary increment should be handled by the remuneration committee, and the remuneration committee should have a higher amount of, or a majority of non-executive directors. You are going a step further and saying that if you look at the remuneration committee of Robobryce, it consists or it fulfills these requirements, thereby being aligned with the corporate governance regulations. And on top of that, since the board responsibilities has increased, the remuneration committee should benchmark with salaries paid by other warehouse automation companies who are involved with cobot manufacturing, in order to determine how much the salaries need to increase, because that's the best thing to do, rather than blindly going for a salary increment. The remuneration committee, when determining the salary increments, should consider how much the directors are getting paid when it comes to other companies or competitors who are involved with cobot manufacturing. And when stipulating the revised salaries, the objective should be to attract and retain capable directors, because if we do not pay incremental salaries, especially given the fact that board responsibilities are increasing, our board members might get demotivated and leave. And according to pre-scene information, our board members are committed, they are experienced, they have been working within Robobryce for a certain period of time. So it's we have a properly experienced set of board members. So if they leave because of salary disputes, then we'll be exposed to additional risks, because then we'd have to appoint new directors and whatnot, which takes a lot of time, which exposes the company to certain inefficiencies with regards to corporate governance. So rather than facing such a situation, it's better if RC or the remuneration committee could benchmark and determine higher salaries. And although it's okay for us to pay higher salaries, since the board members are carrying added responsibilities, the salary should not be excessive, because as per corporate governance regulation, we have to avoid a situation where we provide fat cat salaries to board members unnecessarily. And there might be a situation, as I highlighted earlier, there might be a situation where we'd have to appoint new directors or a director to handle the workload. If you are going for additional board appointments, it need to be carried out by the nomination committee. And non-executive directors again should dominate the nomination committee. However, as per the information provided, that is not the case within Robobryce. Again, you gain marks for pre-scene application. So this is somewhat a theoretical, this question tests your understanding about a theoretical element, which is corporate governance. However, I have not mentioned, the theoretical elements. Instead, I've applied the theoretical knowledge in a practical sense, considering the information provided in the scenario. So I've said that it's okay for these guys to ask for salary increments. Why? Because the beta is increasing. And if you are paying salaries, I've highlighted how we are supposed to do it. And I've also suggested that we might have to appoint additional directors. If that is the case, I've also highlighted how we are supposed to handle such a process. So this is, I've utilized my theoretical knowledge and, applied it in a practical sense, considering the information provided in the scenario, as well as bringing in information from the pre-scene document. Okay, so that's your answer for the second subtask. So let's quickly go on to subtask C. On an unrelated matter, I'm sharing an article which was published on Environmental Watch, one of the most popular weekly magazines in Tesla. Please refer to the attachment. So there's a newspaper article provided as part of reference material. So under each main task, you'd see different reference material. So this is taken from a newspaper article, and this highlights the type of pollution created by our industry. So there are issues pertaining to manufacturing pollution, energy consumption. Our industry leads to resource depletion, electronic waste, and noise and light pollution. And all these issues have been highlighted by many leading environmentalists and is gaining a lot of traction. Environmentalists stated that leaders within the industry such as Robobryce and Pavrobot are to be blamed. So these environmentalists have mentioned our name within this newspaper article, which leads to significant disrepute within the industry. This works against our reputation. And because of that, the Teslandian government is also planning to impose strict emission laws within the industry, given the pressure created by these environmentalists, at the same time sticking to its election promises. So these guys, the government had come into power, stipulating that they have come up with an election promise which stipulates that they will be governing this industry, primarily focusing on pollution. So with that in mind, they are planning to impose strict emission laws which will affect us adversely. So let's look at the requirement. Hope you can provide recommendations with reasons describing the strategy which Robobryce needs to adopt to minimize the impact of carbon loss. So if these carbon laws come into picture, as I told you earlier, we will be negatively affected. So you are supposed to say how we are supposed to handle all these issues in the most prudent manner. So I've come up with a main heading which goes as managing the impact of carbon loss. So when developing a strategy to, or when coming up with mitigatory action, first things first, it's better to identify main stakeholders, which will help us manage each stakeholder appropriately. So within the requirement, there is no mention about how you are supposed to manage stakeholders. However, I've considered the information presented within this newspaper article, and within this newspaper article, there is mention about environmentalists, the government, Pavrobot, as well as ourselves. Okay, so all these elements have been highlighted. So, when developing the answer, I thought it's better to first address the concerns of each and every stakeholder, then mention how to manage each stakeholder, then look at general aspects pertaining to how we are supposed to tackle this, new regulation which is going to come up. Okay, so when it comes to managing stakeholders, you need to be considerate about their level of power and interest, which is covered under the Ansoff matrix. So you're not supposed to highlight the theoretical element. Instead, you have to come up with highly practical answers considering your theoretical knowledge. So how are we supposed to deal with environmentalists? So I said we need to be considerate about their interest and power. So environmentalists will have a high level of interest, but a low level of power. Why? Because environmentalists actually, even though Even if they come together, their level of power will be less. However, they are in a position to harness the power of the government. So these environmentalists can push the government and increase the power of the government, because the environmentalists are in a position to create ripple effects within the industry, which will concern clients as well as the general public. If that is the case, the government will take the side of the general public. So environmentalists are in a position, although their level of power is less, they are in a position to harness the power of the government. So it's better not to directly negotiate with these guys, because it might lead to bad publicity. Because when you try to directly negotiate, let's assume these environmentalists go and face the media again and say something negative about us, then the situation which we are faced with will worsen. So in order to avoid such a scenario, it's better not to negotiate directly with them. Instead, we should use media to engage with the matter, and we have to come up with our own narrative about the issue. So the media has written something bad about us, so we have to take a step, mitigatory action, which is about coming up with our own narrative and publicizing it in media. We are not supposed to, we should not negotiate directly with the environmentalists, because we can't achieve anything when dealing with these type of stakeholders. Then how are we supposed to deal with the government? Usually a government has a high level of power, but a low level of interest when it comes to how businesses are run. However, based on the information provided within the scenario, within the reference material rather, the level of power as well as the level of interest of the government is extremely high. So this is mainly due to its election promises. So, when dealing with these stakeholders, these are considered as key players, or the type of stakeholders who fall under the high power, high interest category are considered as key players. So it's better to directly engage with the government and explain them how this law affects us as well as other stakeholders who are directly associated with us. So if you look at the industry dynamics, we rely on suppliers, transportation providers, we rely on clients. So if these laws come into fruition, then our operational costs will increase, which in turn will dissatisfy clients, and clients' businesses will be affected in a negative manner. Our suppliers' businesses will be affected in a negative manner if there's a decrease in sales experienced by us, and this will affect our distribution providers or transportation partners as well. So we have to highlight how all players within the industry are negatively affected by if this law or regulation goes through in the future. And we have to engage directly with the government. And how are we supposed to change the attitude of the government? We have to highlight our belief of enhancing social well-being, which is highlighted as part of our value system. You gain marks for pre-seen application because as per our values, we believe in enhancing social well-being. So we have to highlight, when driving negotiations, we have to highlight that fact to the government. And we have to also say or tell the government that we are ready to change the internal dynamics if needed to fall in line with future regulations. And we have to also consider about the other major stakeholders as well, such as our suppliers and logistics providers. And when it comes to influencing the government, we can maybe use them as well with the intention of increasing our level of power when carrying out negotiations with the government. And we can also employ ourselves with lobbying. And when carrying out lobbying, we have to ensure that we highlight that we are trying to save livelihoods of our employees, shareholders, as well as connected stakeholders such as our suppliers and logistics providers. However, the type of lobbying which we conduct should not be too excessive. If not, the government will have a negative attitude towards us. Thereby our lobbying or the money spent on lobbying will be fruitless. And we have to also consider about PavRobot, especially given the fact it's mentioned within the newspaper article. PavRobot will have a high level of interest just like us. And if both companies work together, the power of the combined entity will increase. So we will be in a position to negotiate and influence the government in a significant manner. So this is how we are supposed to deal with different types of stakeholders and come up with strategies to face the detrimental effects of this new regulation. And on top of that, I've come up with a set of general recommendations as well. It's better to conduct an internal investigation to see whether this article highlights factual information. If that is the case, we should accept our fault publicly, because if we do, then clients will see us in a positive light, so would the general public. And on top of that, just accepting responsibility or accepting our fault won't help us. It's better to inform about the steps which we are planning to take to mitigate these issues, and these need to be publicized via general media, social media, as well as via our website. So again, if you look at this answer, you need to utilize your knowledge pertaining to stakeholder management. However, you have not supposed to come up with highly theoretical answers. Instead, you are supposed to apply all these theoretical knowledge in a practical sense, considering the information provided in the scenario, as well as bringing in information, relevant information from the preceding document. All right, so give me a second, please. Somebody's mic is on. Let me mute it. All right, so this is the way in which you are supposed to develop answer plans. And once you have an answer plan in place, it's when it comes to typing your answer, it's just a matter of expanding each of the answer points. So this is extremely easy. And these are the type of answer plans you'd receive for all 5 mocks if you invest on the premium package. And I said that we are conducting master classes, 15 master classes in total, covering each and every task of all 5 of our mocks. So this is the way in which we conduct master classes as well. So based on the answer plan, we are highlighting the logic of each answer. Whilst highlighting the logic, we are teaching you theory, as well as ensuring that you improve your application skills. So this is the exact way in which we conduct each of our master classes. All right, so any questions, folks? So I've taken you through the first requirement. I want you guys to check out section number 2 as well, and try to develop answer plans on your own. Take it from me. I said, I requested you guys to spend 5 minutes to read the scenario, then spend 25 minutes to develop an answer plan. But when you are doing it for the first time, you will not be in a position to manage your time appropriately. You take something like 45 to 50 minutes to come up with the answer plan for the entire task. That's totally normal, because you are doing this, or you are practicing this technique for the first time. It's something like driving. So when you're driving for the first time, there's so much in your head, so many tick boxes which you need to fulfill. However, once you get your bearings, it just becomes a walk in the park. Okay, so the same applies to this answering technique as well. So when you're trying it for the first time, you won't be in a position to manage your time appropriately. However, by the time you are at mock number 3, you'd have enough practice, which will enable you to develop an answer plan within 25 minutes. And if that is the case, utilizing the remaining 30 minutes, you are in a position to come up with your fully fledged answer, because it's simply about expanding the answer plan which you have developed. So I want you guys to keep practicing these techniques. And on top of that, we have developed the answer plans for task number 2 as well. So first things first, develop your own answer plans for task number 2 of the mini mock, and compare it with the answer plan which we have provided. Then you are in a position to easily understand what your shortcomings are and how your answers need to improve, which will significantly impact your performance at your real exam. Okay, so some questions had come in, so I'm gonna answer these questions before we move on to the last part of our session. So I'm gonna pause the recording. All right, folks, so I hope I addressed your concerns. You're welcome, Precious and Lawrence. Happy to help you guys. All right, so all in all, answering all your questions. it's about making the lives of the board members easy. So do not mention any theoretical names of theories which you have learned. Instead, utilize your theoretical knowledge and apply theoretical knowledge when developing your answers, and you'd better understand how you're supposed to tackle different theoretical elements when you go through the 15 master classes as well as the 15 answer plans which we have developed covering all 5 mock exams. Okay, so having said that, we are moving on to the last part of today's session, which is about how to rebound from failure. So there could be a set of individuals who are part and parcel of today's webinar, where you attempted a previous sitting and ended up failing the exam. So you need to first be involved with a personal reflection to see or identify whether you gave your best or not. So I will be highlighting certain shortcomings in a while, and these shortcomings will ensure or make you realize that you have not fulfilled all the requirements, or you have not been too serious when it comes to preparations. So if that is the case, you need to diagnose your failures or reasons which led to a failure and try and fix them, or address these concerns when engaging in preparations focused on this sitting which is happening in November 2023. So you need to understand where you went wrong in the exam. You need to diagnose the reasons first and address all these reasons this time. And it's better to refer to the mini mock, the suggested answers, the examiner's report. I've actually covered everything which comes under the examiner's report, and I'll be talking about the final elements of the examiner's report in our upcoming webinar, where I'll be taking you through examiner's comments. So if you attended or watched the recorded versions of the webinars, you've covered everything which comes under the examiner's report, which will enable you to understand what your shortcomings are and overcome them. And refer to, if you opt to invest on our paid content, refer to the suggested answers as well as the master classes, so that you are in a position to understand the type of answers you are supposed to develop. And you might not have opted for tutor feedback on your mock exam answer scripts last time, but if that is the case, I highly recommend you to opt for tutor feedback this time, because you might not be in a position to understand your shortcomings on your own, especially if you are coming through an exemption route, because most of the students who end up in an exemption route, what they do is they come after completing academic qualifications such as a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. These are highly academic qualifications, but you need to understand that CIMA is a professional qualification. So just because you know your theories, you cannot pass this exam, as you witnessed a while back. Instead, it's all about how you apply your theory in a practical manner. Hence, that's exactly why we call this a professional qualification. So you might not be in a position to understand your shortcomings, especially pertinent to application skills. So it's prudent for you to opt for tutor feedback this time, because we are trained to do that. So you are in a position to understand your exact shortcomings, and I showed you what type of feedback we provide at TCS, and based on the marks gained for each and every subtask, and by understanding success rate, you are in a position to understand what your real shortcomings are, and then you can focus on redeveloping answer plans for subtasks in which you have scored low marks. That's the type of revision which you need to engage yourself with the intention of significantly improving your chances of passing the exam. And then you need to come up with an action plan, which should be to work smarter than the previous attempt. I'm not asking you guys to work harder. Instead, I'm asking you guys to work smarter. So if you invest on the premium package, your life becomes extremely easy, because it's just a matter of, on a weekly basis, attempting a mock exam. And once you receive tutor feedback, redeveloping answer plans for subtasks in which your success rate is not up to par. Other than that, it's just a matter of watching a set of videos. So all in all, everything else is handled by us. Your real responsibility is to find 3 hours at a stretch on a weekly basis, attempt a mock exam via the exam platform which we have developed, and once you receive tutor feedback, allocate something like 1 or 2 hours and redevelop, not 2 hours actually, just allocating 1 hour and redeveloping answer plans will help you overcome all your shortcomings. Okay, so that's the smartest way to get about things. So let me highlight the common reasons which leads to a failure. So the biggest problem is with regards to students practicing just 2 or 3 mocks. As I've told you earlier, you need to cover the entire syllabus because you have to be conversant with the way in which your theoretical knowledge is tested at your exam. You know, when I took you through the questions and answers for mini mock, the first task of the mini mock, you would have identified that the examiner is not directly telling you what you are expected to achieve within your answer. Instead, when it comes to applying theoretical knowledge, an indirect approach is adhered to by the CIMA examiner. So if you are to understand all these things and if you are to cover the entire syllabus, you have to attempt 5 mock exams. So when developing the mock exams, we have made sure that all syllabus areas are covered. So if you attempt just 2 or 3 mocks, you are not conversant with all syllabus content and the way in which theoretical elements are tested in your exam. If that is the case, you'd struggle at your real exam, because whenever a theoretical element which you have not referred to is thrown at you at the exam, you'd panic, and panic leads to sure failure. And so how are we supposed to overcome this issue? You have to attempt all 5 mock exams. And another shortcoming is with regards to the way in which you practice your mocks, because most students out there, they do not practice mocks under simulated exam conditions. I've seen even students who invest on the premium package doing this. So I've encountered students who just go through the master classes rather than attempting mock exams, because without attempting mock exams, you are not in a position to perfect your answering and time management techniques. And you need to attempt each mock under simulated exam conditions, because at your real exam, you have to sit in one place for 3 hours at a stretch and keep developing answer plans, then expanding the answer plan, then move on to task number 2, develop answer plans, then expand the answer plans, and likewise you have to do these things over and over again at your real exam. And just sit in one place for 3 hours and try to do something, then you'd realize how hard it is. So you have to be accustomed with these type of exam pressures when attempting your mock exams. I've seen students, when they attempt mock exams, your SCS exam consists of 3 main tasks. So a student would attempt task number 1 on Monday, task number 2 on Tuesday, and task number 3 on Wednesday. But at the real exam, you are supposed to sit in one place and attempt the entire paper 3 hours at a stretch. So when you do that, you have to be conversant with the way in which you are supposed to handle exam pressure. It's not easy to sit in one place and handle exam pressure for 3 hours, especially if you're doing it for the first time. So in order to avoid such a situation, in order to accustom yourself with exam pressures, and in order to get your answering and time management techniques right, you have to attempt all 5 mocks under exam conditions. So if you attempt each mock via our exam platform, you'd achieve just this. And lack of technical knowledge could be a killer, especially pertinent to your knowledge of E3, F3, and P3 elements. So that's exactly why I said you need to attempt all 5 mock exams, which covers the entire syllabus. If you do, then there's absolutely nothing for you guys to worry, especially if you are coming through an exemption route. So students who are coming through the CIMA general route, since they had done their OTQ exams, they are conversant with theoretical knowledge. However, no students coming through an exemption route, they will know their E3, because that's usually covered within the MBA programs or the master's programs or the bachelor's programs. But when it comes to P3, performance strategy, and F3, finance strategy, there are huge knowledge gaps. And if that is the case, you will never pass your SCS exam. You would have to keep repeating your exam on multiple occasions. So In order to overcome these gaps in knowledge, we have developed 5 mocks covering all syllabus areas. And on top of that, we have developed a set of master classes, 15 master classes in total. So if you watch these master classes, you'd easily learn theory and you'd easily understand how to apply theory in a practical manner when developing your answers. And, if that is the case, you are in a position to overcome your shortcomings with regards to application of knowledge. Just because you know your theory, it won't help when it comes to passing this exam, because as I've highlighted earlier, and as you would have seen when I took you through the mini mock and its suggested answer, it's all about application of knowledge. It's all about how you apply your theoretical knowledge in a practical sense, considering the information provided in the scenario and the preceding document. Okay, so in order to overcome all these problems, you simply need to attempt all 5 mock exams, then watch the master classes. And once you receive tutor feedback, you'd also gain an understanding about what your real shortcomings are. An inappropriate answering technique is a killer. 99% of the students out there, what they do is, as I've told you earlier, they'll read the scenario and straight away they'd start typing the answer. And halfway through, they'd realize that they are headed in the wrong direction, or their answer is not aligned with the requirement. And when that is the case, they end up deleting the entire answer. Then they start developing the answer from scratch. And when that occurs, you know for a fact that you have wasted a lot of time. And when you know that, it leads to extreme levels of stress. And with this stress, you would end up coming up with low quality answers, because you'd be extremely worried about the credibility of the answers which you have provided, and you'd run out of time because of this. So the best way to overcome all these issues is by sticking to our answering technique. So if you spend 25 minutes to think and come up with an answer which is totally aligned with the requirement, then when it comes to typing the answer, there's absolutely nothing for you to think. So you're not in a sense of panic, because you are spending some time to come up with an appropriately structured answer which is aligned with the requirement. Then you need not worry about anything else. Okay, and if you get your answering technique right, you will never run out of time as well, because take it from me, students who keep practicing our answering technique and time management techniques when attempting each of their 5 mock exams are in a position to champion it by the time they're done with all 5 mocks. So it's going to be a walk in the park at your exam, because if you attempt all 5 mocks and keep practicing answering and time management techniques, you'd be doing this or sticking to this process 15 or practicing this process 15 times over. That's enough and more practice for you guys to champion these techniques. If that is the case, you will never run out of time. And on top of that, you'd come up with high quality, well-structured answers. And lack of evaluation could be problematic, as I told you earlier, especially if you're coming through an exemption route. You might not have the capability to compare between your answer and the suggested answer. So in order to make your lives easier, we are providing answer plans for all 5 mocks. So then you can easily understand the logic of each and every answer, the structure of each and every answer. And on top of that, we are providing you with tutor feedback. And this tutor feedback will, help you overcome your issues pertaining to lack of evaluation, because rather than you evaluating your own answers, it's handled by a well-trained tutor and an evaluator. Okay, and not adhering to a study plan could be a killer as well. Especially as I told you earlier, most students wait until the last week or last 2 weeks leading up to the exam. Take it from me, this is not an academic qualification. This is an extremely tough examination. You can't simply attempt 1 or 2 mocks and work 2 weeks before the exam and pass. If you are yet to make up your mind to start preparations, you have something like not something like you actually have 4 weeks. You just have 4 weeks at your disposal. So it's better to start preparations right now. If you are planning to attend your exam in November, you have to invest on paid content. If you are not planning to attempt 5 mock exams, forget about sitting for the November session. Instead, focus on doing your exam in February, so that you'd have enough and more time to complete your preparations. So stick to a study plan. So in order to ensure that you do, we have come up with a study plan which can be found via our website. And if you want a personalized study plan, which is totally attuned with your corporate responsibilities and what you do as an individual who is part of a family, you can reach out to me via WhatsApp, so that I can help you develop a personalized study plan. Okay, so you have to these are the common types of failures each student faces who'd end up failing the exam, and for each I've come up with appropriate solutions. So before we wind up, let me quickly mention about what we have achieved. So we achieved a 96% pass rate for the February sitting, and two of our students within the year 2023 had already achieved 2 national prizes, and these 2 students ended up getting these national prizes, especially given the fact that they stuck to our study plan. They attempted all 5 mocks via the exam platform on a weekly basis, which enabled them to conduct their preparations in a hassle-free, stress-free manner. Because as I told you earlier, your work is only about attempting a mock per week. Everything else is handled by us if you invest on the premium package. Okay, so if you stick to our study plan and our study resources, you'd achieve similar outcomes. And let me quickly remind you about the £50 discount which we're offering on the SCS premium package. So if you pay in full, you can claim this offer, and if you want to purchase, you can opt for 2 installments or pay in full and save £50 by clicking on these buttons, which will direct you to our checkout process. Any questions, guys? So before we wind up, we covered so many things in today's webinar. So I've been talking for the past 1 hour and 45 minutes. It's your chance to talk. Any questions, folks? All right, folks, thank you very much for all those questions. You're welcome, Daisy. All right, so if you want to contact us, you can do so via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com, or email us at info@study@tcs.com, or simply WhatsApp us on this number, which is 7898-464-196. So having said that, I want you guys to follow us on our social media handles. And I almost forgot to tell you, the TikTok videos app, which is a good mind map of the SCS pre-scene. So check out our TikTok handle, which is Study@TCS, and via that you can gain access to the 3 TikTok videos. And I want you guys to keep watching these 3 TikTok videos on a daily basis, thereby ensuring that you remember the most important points which are highlighted within the pre-scene. So after going through the annotated pre-scene and the pre-scene analysis videos, you'd gain an in-depth understanding about the information highlighted within the pre-scene. However, you need to remember the most important points. So we have you need not do anything else. We have handled that for you. So simply keep watching these 3 TikTok videos. Then it will be extremely easy to remind yourself the most important points highlighted within the pre-scene. And if you remember these points, you can easily utilize them when developing your answers. So one of you were asking about the nomination committee and the remuneration committee, and how I said that the nomination and remuneration committee compositions, whether they are aligned with corporate governance regulations or not. So it's based on the pre-scene, the annotated pre-scene which we have developed, and based on this annotated pre-scene, we have come up with a further summary via the TikTok videos. So go check out these TikTok videos, and I hope you'd follow our TikTok handle as well. Okay, so having said that, it brings us to the end of today's webinar. Thank you very much, guys, for joining in. I hope you gained something out of this session. And if you still have concerns, get in touch with us via WhatsApp. I hope you guys are part and parcel of the WhatsApp group. And I want you guys to check out the second part of the mini mock. Go through, try to develop the answer plan on your own, and go through the answer plans which we have provided. And on top of that, I want you guys, I do not mind even if you do not invest on paid content, even if you purchase from a competitor. I hope you'd keep practicing the answering and time management techniques, because if you get it right, it's as if you had passed your SCS examination. Okay, so thank you very much, guys. Thank you for joining in. I wish you all the very best, and I expect to see you guys in our upcoming webinar, which is exam prep. Thank you. Take care.